Tevix, welcome back to Maypole Farm, and welcome back from my holiday. That sounded weird. So it is now August, and I need to reset the clock. And we're going to be chopping corn today. I think we are at that point. So let's also reset the store. I'm hoping the background noise is okay. If it's not, it's kind of tough because it'll be too late by the time I actually realize. So I'm sat in a hotel. I'm next to my PC. I have a fan running in the corner of the room behind me, and I have a mirror in front of me, and I can't be asked to sort out covering mirror because it's been a really long day. So yeah, it is what it is today, folks. I'm afraid. I've installed a new forage harvester. It's a New Holland forage harvester. And it's one that I don't think I've used before. So I thought this would be fun. I did want to look and see. It's got a 4.5 meter header. This one comes with a 6 meter header. That's going to be more practical. So maybe I go for this one. Maybe I actually splash the bucks. Splash the big bucks on the bigger forage harvester. Just thinking time-wise. Yeah, maybe we go for this one. I don't actually know if we can even afford to lease this. We can, but we do want more horsepowers, which is going to add more money. We probably want to put a weight on the back. Silage tank additive. Yes, please. What's that going to cost me to lease? 8 grand. Oof, we are a bit short of cash at the moment. You will have noticed. But anywho, we do need that. If we have to take out a little bit of a loan, and I am not averse to that. Drum extensions? Why not, folks? Why not? We're down to 2 grand in the bank, which kind of sucks because we also need some silage additive, which we can't lease. I wonder if there's any in the sales. Nope, that's for processing CCM. Some straw, we don't really need that. Fish food, we don't need that either. That'd be a negative. So let's go back into here. Go here, go here. No. Pallets. Actually, have we got any? Before I go splashing the cash on buying it, I've got a recollection that we've got some there, and that's got 24 litres on it, so that might be enough. So yeah, if we need to, we will take out a loan. I think at the moment the cows are in a kind of not producing phase, so yeah, that's a little bit annoying. So before we go racing off to the field, I guess let's do a bit of tabbing and park some things. I've got the truck there as well, but I don't know if we'll use it. I really need to spend some time setting up auto drive, but I've not bothered, and we're on like episode 70 something at this point, so you know, kind of feels irrelevant. Oh no. I don't know if we're going to be able to empty this, but anyway, there are a lot of things I don't know today. Do you know what I do know? It's been very tiring since getting back from the holiday because we now have a new puppy. Don't blame me. This was a Mrs. D idea. So I think I've spoken about this. She wants to train Puppy to be a support dog for her disabilities. Predominantly to help with the emotional side of her disabilities and things. So yeah, we got home on Friday. We picked up Puppy on Saturday. I'm away today, so I'm not dealing with Puppy. But yeah, it was a tiring weekend. It was a tiring weekend. So imagine the situation. We have I think he's about 45 kilo greyhound. If you've met me, he comes up to about, I'm just trying to think. His head is about the height of my waist. If you've not met me, he's about waist high on a male, a 5'10" male. So he's big. The puppy is so he's a miniature Australian sheepdog. And he weighs, I think, something like 5 kilos at the moment. We haven't weighed him since we got him home. But based on what the breeder told Mrs. D when she picked him up, I didn't go to pick him up because he was a few hours away, and the idea was that I brought out our greyhound. So yeah, he's quite small. So you have very big greyhound, very small puppy, and they're getting used to each other. I think we'll do 3 headlands. We'll do 2 rounded corners. We'll do a decent overlap, and we'll generate us a course, please. And we'll do first waypoint and go. And you're now going to sit and wait for me to get into position, I'm guessing. Did I have an option for a long pipe, anyone? I probably did. What we're going to do is try and get to the side. And gosh. And try and run around here. Yeah, so big greyhound, tiny puppy. He's this little ball of fluff at the moment, essentially. And most of our previous experiences with greyhound meeting small balls of fluff is he wants to try and eat them. So we're working on that. Today has been better. Actually, it's not, I say better. He's not really been a problem, to be honest. The greyhound is very excitable when he wants to play. And the size difference is a challenge. But they're getting on pretty well, actually. Apparently today, I'm not using names for reasons, because, I like to keep my privacy, and the dogs have distinctive names. But yeah, apparently today the greyhound I might have used the greyhound's name at some point, but anyway, today the greyhound took one of his toys to share with the puppy, which is kind of cute. But yeah, so Mrs. D is very, very worn out today, because one of the things she struggles with is chronic fatigue. And she'd underestimated how much more fatigued she would be dealing with a puppy. Now, thankfully, the teenager is at home to help out, and she loves helping out with puppies. So, yes, I am destroying some crop. It'll be fine. And I think we can put extensions on this trailer, which we might go do, because I hadn't remembered that we needed to do that. So, yeah, busy weekend. Today was my first day back in the office, which is always kind of busy, and had the fun of also moving offices kind of whilst on holiday. At work, we are going through the process of finally having heating fitted. If you have followed the saga of where I work, we haven't had heating for, I think, about 4 years. We're finally getting heating, and I think air conditioning, maybe, which will be an utter luxury, fitted. And my office is being done at the moment. So it started while I was on holiday. So my last day in the office, actually my penultimate day in the office, because I went in on a day that I didn't plan to. I cleared a bunch of the stuff that I need to work. And one of the guys I work with set it all up for me while I was away, but I am now working at Yes, it can. Is this not? Oh, I think there's 2,000 litres of silage in there. Okay. So what we do is we go into painting. And we go to here. And we grab the painting tool. We grab you. We grab you. And this should resolve it. And hopefully, if I back in now, it still thinks there's 300. I wonder if it's that little bit at the front. Or the bit in the bucket. Let's move the Merlot and the bucket. I'm not sure what's actually in the bucket. Yeah, so autism majorly triggered today because moving desks, sitting in a different office, sitting in a significantly noisier office, at a desk which is, so my normal desk is in the corner of a very quiet office. There's normally only 2 of us in there. There's nothing in there. Okay, the desk that I'm working at now is very not in the corner, and in a significantly noisier office. So yeah, it's been kind of a sucky day for being in work. And it's only going to be for still silage in there. Okay, it's only going to be for a week or so because then we are moving offices again. It's brilliant. Yeah, I love it. Honest. Yay. But yeah, it's made today kind of stressful all round. So I didn't get to hotel till quite late because then I went to the gym after work. That's a good thing. That's a plus. But yeah, it meant I'm starting doing this later than I planned to. So, but anywho, how are you guys? Missed you all. Except Pete. Nah, not really, buddy. So yeah, it's a good holiday. It wasn't. It's one of those weird things. So I, for similar reasons to what I was talking about, I find holidays to be a bit of a mixed thing. In that I and this won't surprise any of you. That's $7,500. We can't afford to extend the trailer. Okay. I think it's bank loan time, folks. We've only got $280,000 outstanding, so let's take a little say $50,000 loan over. Let's go 2 years. Yeah. Just so we're not kind of struggling, and the cow should kick in soon. And worst case, we can always go and sell some trees. So customize. Let's go for the 40,000 liters. Bosh. Cool. All right. Yeah, it was a good holiday. So, but it's always a bit of a mixed thing for me because, so I like the break from work, obviously, and I'd wish the break from work was longer. I find being away from home and being in a strange place a bit stressful, and I always have this mixed thing of I kind of like the holiday to be over to get home, but then I don't want the holiday to be over because I'm enjoying the break. Yeah. So the concert that we went to go see was awesome. Apart from, so it was billed as a family-friendly event, and you're probably going to say that I'm miserable, but having kids at something like that was kind of weird. and kind of annoying. So we had a little kid standing behind us, and they kept bashing into us and just being generally annoying. And also one of the bands was like, normally we would swear at this point, but we've been told we're not allowed to swear. And it's like, I really hate that they're being restricted in how they do things. And then the headline act basically just completely ignored it and started swearing. And one of the little kids was like, you're not allowed to swear. And it's like, yeah, they can fucking swear all the fuck they want. So yeah, that kind of frustrated me because it's the kind of music that includes swearing. They're the kind of artists that swear, and it's meant for adults. But anyway, it was really cool. We being me and the teenager, found a band that we really like. A new band. So it was one of the bands that we hadn't heard before. They were really cool, which is always great. Kind of, we've now found a bunch of bands that have been support acts to bands that we've gone to see as like the headline act that we really like. The band that we're headlining that event were a support act for someone that we went to see, and we've now seen them like 5 times. So yeah, it was good fun. It was good fun. It did kind of take out almost like 2 days of the holiday, and I say kind of because not really. So it was the day after we travelled, which typically I set aside for Mrs. D recovering from travelling. She forgets this, but she's always really worn out the day after we travel. So normally we're just kind of getting settled into wherever we're staying, that kind of stuff. That's generally what I expect to be doing. Yes, fuck it. We're committed now, and we're going to get so much off of here anyway. And we've got another field to do as well. So I usually allocate day 1 of holiday to, we've just got there and chill out. And for me, I needed to chill out anyway. So yeah. Day 2, me and the teenager were wrecked because we got back not super late because it had quite an early curfew at the venue. But we were both wrecked because we'd had like 4 hours of listening to music and being quite active listening to music, and then we didn't get out of the maybe like 4.5 hours actually, but we were at the venue for a good 5 hours, and we'd been queuing for 2 hours before that because we like to be at the front. So yeah, we were, I think, the 3rd group of people in the queue to get in. But it was really cool. So now we're back to real life. I will say that having Poppy is probably going to affect this, because like I expect that weekends I'm gonna need to give Mrs. D as much of a break as I can from pop stuff. So I don't know if I'm going to be getting much time to record. If you watch the Beaver videos, I'm definitely not going to be getting time to do any of the streaming at the moment that I'd started doing, which is a little bit frustrating, but it's kind of hard to compare, streaming to a bunch of strangers versus having a puppy. So yeah, puppy wins. He's really hard work at the moment, but the ultimate benefits for Mrs. D, assuming all the training works and he actually is as clever as we need him to be, because you never know with a puppy, and also just dogs are cool. And having our greyhound he's a brilliant dog. He's really affectionate and funny and thick as fuck. He is not a bright dog at all. He is the nicest dog in the world. He makes me laugh and smile so much, but he is not a clever dog at all. And sometimes it's quite nice having a clever dog that's like well trained and can do stuff. I can't take the greyhound running. He's got some old injuries from being a racing dog that mean he's not well suited to the kind of running that I do. I run way too slowly for a greyhound, and maybe Pop will be able to run with me, depending on that's not going to interfere with his other actual reasons we've got him. So yeah. Main priority is him working and helping Mrs. D. Anyway, so I've not really kept up with farm sim. I've been browsing the odd bits here and there. I've seen some cool stuff. I actually saw it today when I was browsing Facebook, in the kind of places that you browse Facebook when you're at work. You can work it out. And there was what I think is going to be an American map, which seems to be adding some cool features. Things like there is a co-op that you can go and borrow kit from. And, I think that kind of advancement in map design is kind of cool. Now, I'm assuming that's going to be a PC-only map, because that sounds like it's going to need scripts, unless there's just a spot on the map that's a bit like where the store has a forklift and you can go use that. Unless it's just like that, then I'm assuming it's going to be a PC only feature. There was some videos linked that I didn't have time to watch because I was doing the thing that you do where you look at Facebook at work, which meant I couldn't play videos anyway. So yeah. But it sounded kind of cool. There's No Creek Farms, maybe? Could have been No Creek Farms. But yeah, that sounded like a really cool addition. So while I was away, I was actually playing a bit of farm sim. Playing Barley Spring, and it's not a bad little map, It's not a bad little map. So I think I've mentioned that, and I think I've added it to this, but the little John Deere that I'd mentioned, which I quite like, the 2000 series John Deere, that I wanted to play with. Come on, dude. Do I need to let you be ahead of it? I guess I do. Yeah, the 2000 series John Deere, which is a nice little tractor. It's a nice little tractor if you haven't used it. And then I was also using the Ford that's on Mod Hub. And yeah, I've got a nice little cow farm setting up on there. So I did fall for. So that map has got what I think is going to be some of the maize plus crops built into it. And I fell for one of the frustrations with Terra Life, in that meadow and grass were named the same thing. They are both called grass in the translation. And so I planted a field full of meadow when I wanted a field full of grass. And I've not got around to fixing that, actually, because I did that just before I was about to come home. So it's kind of annoying. Yeah. So yeah, I think there are a few maps that are using the crop pack for Maize Plus. I don't know, because I'm even less associated with the farming agency now. I don't have any access to any of the behind the scenes stuff anymore. So I'll know when it gets released, like you guys do. So yeah. And then we'll work out how it works together. And I'll still make videos on it. Anyway, yeah, Bright Spring is a cool map. I was kind of surprised that this time they didn't do anything different with the animals. I'm guessing that's because that stuff isn't freely available anywhere. That's my assumption. I assume that in FS22 they picked the animals up from one of the other maps. I'm always really detached from that kind of stuff to know where they would have got them from, but that's kind of my assumption. So yeah, but, yeah, having fun playing on there. I've got, if you know the map, I've got I think it's the orange farm. It's the one that's directly south on the map at the bottom. Yeah. I don't even think I've played through more than like a month and a bit yet on there, but I'm having fun, and that's the main thing. So, I don't actually know how long I've been yapping to you guys. Nearly half an hour. So I don't know how far we're going to get through this job today. What I might do is ramble away for a bit more and then time lapse the rest of the work. That would kind of work well for me because I can where are we? I can do that later on, or maybe when I am at home. Actually doing it at home is going to be kind of tricky because puppy sitting. I don't know how we're going to work this out, folks. I don't know. So it's all a bit tricky at the moment. Yeah. Having a small puppy does make life much more complicated. We haven't had a puppy in probably like maybe 14 years, something like that. So most of the dogs that we've had have been rescues. The last 4 before him have been rescue dogs. So he is our 6th dog. No, 7th dog. Oh, dude, I'm right fucking next to you. This is pissing me off. 7th dog, I think. Yeah, 7th dog. And he's only our 3rd that's not been a rescue. So the first 2 were from puppy. Then we had 4 rescue dogs, and then the current little dude. And so we had a long time where dogs came in to some extent past the adolescent terror child phase. And so we'd all kind of forgotten that it's a lot of work. And yeah. Anywho. It means I kind of like Saturday and Sunday, I didn't do any gaming at all because by the time he crashed out on Saturday night, I crashed out. And then Sunday, when he crashed out, I then started getting organised to go to work on Monday. So, well, I finished getting organised to go to work because I'd already started. Because if you're going to be away for 2 days, and I'm trying to eat healthily while I travel at the moment, then that requires a fair bit of organisation for what I travel with when I'm trying to eat healthily. So, yeah. Oh, come on, dude. You can do this, you know. You can do this. So, yeah. But hey, on the plus side, everyone, because we haven't mentioned it yet, it's not as bloody hot. Yeah, we are full. Awesome. Now, the room that I'm in is relatively warm because it doesn't have a window. It's a ground floor room and it has like this weird like patio door kind of thing, and I don't want that open while I'm doing this. In fact, I'm not really keen on having it open at all because I don't want someone randomly walking in. So it could be a warm night. It could be a warm night. But we will endure. We will endure. Because that's what we do. So, yeah. Is this headland number 3 or number 2? Who's counting? Anyone? Anyone? I am trying to keep the compaction at least not awful. Because I'd kind of like to not have to spend ages doing compacting at the end. It's kind of a pet hate. And it's nicer than, this is giving me, I think the last time we did silage, and by we, obviously I mean, in this context, me, because none of you are freaking helping. Because none of you can help because I'm in a hotel with actually not too awful internet, but not really like multiplayer stuff, and I don't have time to organise that kind of stuff. Before any of you go, well, I would have helped. So, yeah. That wasn't a request for actual help. That was a, you know, YouTuber making words to fill time kind of thing. But yeah, I think the last time I did silage, anyway, was on Kinlag with the weird drive-through bunker, and I don't like those, and it was a bit of a mess at the end. So that was the point I was trying to get to. Because he did half ramble a lot to get there. He didn't half ramble a lot to get there. So, and I think we need to plant as well this month. Not certain, but I think we do. Right. Hopefully we've got room to spin around here. We are on headland number 2 by the looks of it. And we don't have room to spin around. So, can we... what I'm wondering is if we can do some kind of many point, some kind of that, yeah, slick and smooth. And off we go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a bit of work and I'll come back, I think. Okay, we are back and I have made progress. And I've been listening to a podcast for a bit that has been making me laugh with crazy people. We are relatively far through. I don't know if we're going to get all the way through. I'm going to do another maybe, let's say 15 minutes-ish, or as long as I can ramble for, and then we're going to call it a day. Because I would like to get this video edited and rendering and uploading this evening. I had hoped to record 2 videos this evening, but I fear I may not, because I'm getting kind of tired. So we'll see how it goes. I would kind of like to just chill out for the rest of the evening and relax, but we'll see. Yeah. Anywho, so Barley Spring. I said, I've been really enjoying playing on there. Much like I did for Kinlag, because I'm a sucker for punishment, I was recording it, but I don't think I'm going to do anything with that. I just kind of going, partly because I fear now with the changes in life that we have at home, I'm not going to pick that up again for a while. So yeah, but go check that map out. It's kind of nice. I have literally only checked out a tiny section of it, but it's got a lot of farms on it. The farms are quite nice. They have a lot of detail. Some would say too much detail, but if you like detail and if you like the role of play, then you could have a lot of fun there, you know. The farmyard that I've got's got a workshop built in one of the sheds. Personally, I find it a bit annoying because it takes up a whole load of space. But it's got like a vehicle pit that you can uncover to work on your vehicles if you're so inclined to role play that deeply. Yeah, you can hide the decoration on the farm, which is kind of cool. I don't know if you can hide all the stuff inside the shop because it's kind of a button that cycles through hiding stuff, so it's kind of hard to tell what you are and aren't hiding without literally, I guess, going around the whole farm as you do it on each click. Which was a little bit annoying, and I just wanted to play the game at that point rather than sit and play clicky button zoomy outy. Yeah, but it's a nice map. It is a nice map. I did make the mistake of also downloading some associated mods. So there's a whole load of required mods that you have to get from their website currently, and because I was then browsing their website, I found some kind of cool UK style mods that I thought would be good to add, but because they're air agri mods or whatever they call themselves these days, that meant that things like tipping the trailer or unhooking the trailer took 4 to 5 business days, which is my pet peeve with their stuff. The animations are incredibly slow. Yeah, they're realistic, but they're incredibly slow. So if I go back to playing on there, I might end up speeding up the animations, because for me, realism is not as important as actually being able to use the stuff and do things quickly. So, yeah. And that's the joy of being able to just edit the odd XML file, you know. We've got a reasonably full pit. We still have another field to go as well. It's a smaller field. We'll probably tackle that next time. We do need to get some more silage additive as well. I am probably going to let it run out in this field. But yeah, the bunker is filling up nicely, which is good because obviously we're getting through quite a bit of feed. This tractor is brilliant in the pit. It is brilliant. Yeah. This is a nice combination for getting this job done. It does show the benefit of having a bigger vehicle on the farm. It's just making life so much easier than before when we were using the smaller tractors to do this job. I think before we were probably using the Steyr as our carting tractor. And yeah, it wasn't as powerful or effective. So I do want to try and start filling in that side a little bit. So I am just going to start dumping stuff in there just to level that out a little bit. Yeah, nice. All right, let's go. Yeah. Now, we've still got half of the day, which is good because we still have the one extra field to go. And that's partly why I wanted to get the 6-meter header, because I think we need it now. I'm really hoping there is a heck of a lot of fan noise from the PC next to me because it's quite warm in here. And I'm really hoping that it's not too excessively loud. I guess we'll see. I think we've got like 3 passes to do, maybe. And we'll be good. If the audio is awful, one, you won't have heard it. B, what I'll probably have done, which you won't hear, well, you will, because I'll have introduced the video with it, I guess, is maybe turn this into some sort of time lapse and do a commentary over the top of it. But that means I'll have to do the commentary on another day when I'm in somewhere quieter. So, yeah. Which would suck. It would suck. Now I suspect I'll get the opportunity to do that maybe later in the week, because one of the challenges that Mrs. D is going to have is she is not going to be able to have days where she can crash out at home so easily. So one of the problems that I didn't used to do as often is if she was in bed at home, I wouldn't record content upstairs because I didn't think that was fair. Because she would be trying to sleep and I would be doing this in the room next door. So if she's awake during the day and downstairs looking after the puppy, around work I can fit in making videos more easily, rather than what I've been doing for the last few years, quite a lot of years now, which is after work recording content in the evenings downstairs, which is why I built the PC that I travel with. So yeah, but we'll see how everything goes. Life is an ever-changing something of you know, who knows what. So yeah, I think the next few weeks are going to be very fluid in terms of things, on top of the fact that my job is still very busy at the moment. So yeah. Anywho, funny story. I think it's funny. I'm gonna try and not turn it into a rant. So if you watched not the last video but the video before, I did have a little bit of a rant about a certain farmer who has a farm, who makes an Amazon TV series about said farm, and his opinions on people. So when we were on holiday, we were chatting about that a little bit, obviously. Now, two of us in the family are autistic, and one of the traits of autistic people is this whole sense of justice thing and sticking to our views on people. And Mrs. D is not. And so we were chatting about this, and she was like, "You two really do hold a grudge talking about me and a teenager." And because we drove past a pub that advertised the fact they had Hawkston beer, lager, and now none of us particularly drink, so it's not like we were going to stop there and have a beer. But we were like, "Oh, what, that twat?" Or what? We used some profanity because, you know. And yeah, you would think that the person who's most disabled would have the most opinion about them, but nope. It was the two most neurodivergent people in the car that were most annoyed. Yeah, I am kind of wondering. So do very much feel for UK farmers currently and the problems they're having with harvest due to the weather. Apart from one of them, because I assume, you know, so I think the government have announced like an emergency relief fund to help farmers out with the fact that their yields are really bad because of the hot weather, and they're going to make a lot less money, and obviously a lot of them are going to need help. Now, I will assume a certain farmer who makes a lot of his money out of his TV show and who comments on people who need help from the government because of different reasons and thinks they should write to taxpayers to thank them. I assume he won't need any of that. And if he does, I'll be getting a letter from him thanking me for helping support his farm. You know? Because that would only seem fair, wouldn't it? that if we as taxpayers are helping, bail out his farm for the bad weather, that he should thank us in the same way that he views that if disabled people get help because they can't work because they're too disabled to, they should be thanking taxpayers. This is really, really hard not to turn it into a rant about a complete fucking twat. But anyway, yeah. Feel bad for farmers. Slightly concerned about what it's going to mean for the food supply in the UK this year. But I would hope that the rich arsehole who makes his money out of TV shows, not farming, isn't going to need any of that money to prop up his business. And if he does take any of it, I'm hoping I'm going to get a letter from him thanking me for paying my taxes, which has contributed towards running his farm. Because, that would seem like the right thing to do, wouldn't it? Every other farmer, who hasn't expressed an opinion about disabled people and their need to thank taxpayers, quite happy to help support them. It's like I said about the how disabled people, and we have a welfare state, and if they can't work because they're too ill, we should help them. We need farmers to produce food to feed us. If they have a bad year, particularly due to things like climate change and the weather, we should help them out so they can stay in business, so they can grow food for us. If you raced away before you got to the point where I said all of that and were busy typing in the comments all angry, then you should have stayed and listened. I do believe we should support farmers and help them when times are tough, unless you're a complete fucking arsehole. Not a rant. Well, sort of a rant, So, yeah. It's just so it's kind of hard to tell where I am locally, because half the fields are fucking building sites at the moment. They're growing a lot of solar panels where I live. They seem to grow quite well in drought. They don't seem to be affected by the weather so much. They seem to be growing quite well. But because I wasn't running so much during kind of peak growing season, I didn't really see how badly the crops were affected, and I've not ventured. So a lot of the closer fields to me, they tend to grow grain crops. And then as you get further away from the populated areas and closer to some local rivers, is it a river, stream, whatever, a place where the farmers can pull water for irrigation from, we tend to get to where they're growing things like potatoes, which, where I am, need a fair bit of irrigation generally. I've not seen how those have fared. Typically every year they need a fair bit of irrigation. I'm guessing this year they will have needed a lot more, if they've even been allowed to pull water out of the streams, because I'm guessing they're quite low. So yeah, I'm guessing our local farmers have struggled a lot. Where we were on holiday, there seemed to be a lot of hay. There was certainly at least one hay farm, which I'd not really seen before. There was a lot of grass farming. We were in Wales. It's kind of the thing they do there. There was a field of hay that had been baled, and it looked like straw. The grass was so dry. Just like from a distance, because it was yellow, where it dried out so much. It wasn't straw, it was grass. It was in a grass field. But it was crazy just how dry everywhere was, and I'm assuming that they are getting awful yields off of their grass. The only thing that seemed to have grown reasonably well was the corn. I'm guessing that was impacted to some extent, but they were chopping corn the week we were away. They just started. It was quite cool because there were quite a few tractors running around with silage trailers on the back. And when you're a farm sim nerd, that's kind of nice. There was a funny moment. I think it must have been the first day we were there. I was driving back from a supermarket with a teenager. and there was a tractor waiting to pull out of a junction. She's so autistic. She quite likes farming machinery, but not to the level that we do. It's like, oh, tractor. And I was like, oh yeah, it's a Valtra. How do you know that? I was like, well, because I've spent too many hours playing a farming game. And it was a side profile of a Valtra. It's quite distinctive. And they're not that uncommon in the UK. They're a reasonably popular brand. So yeah, that's kind of amusing. She was quite impressed that I knew what brand of tractor it was. She does, you know, she's seen how many hours of this damn game I've played. She shouldn't be that surprised. But what are we up to? 460,000 litres. Oh, so this will be 480,000 litres. We're not going to top the 1,000,000 litres, I don't think, but we are probably going to fill this, which is kind of cool. That will be good. Obviously, more silage is more gooder with all the cows and the BGA. So we will get another cut of silage this year off the grass. So, you know, looking forward to that. The cornfields this time, I don't think are going to grass, but I don't remember. So, yeah. I did say I was going to go 15 minutes. We're at 18 minutes, but we are so close to finishing. I am going to finish and see what we get off this first field. So, we will do the second field next time. Yeah, it's the same job, but the rambling and ranting's going to be different. That's why you're here, isn't it? So, you know. There is a very good chance there will only be the one farm sim video this week. It does depend on how life goes. I'm going to be happy if I get 3 videos out this week, essentially. So my plan is this video plus 1 more Timberborn video. I'm going to be happy. Any more than that for me is a bonus. Around 3 days in work and working at home and dealing with a puppy. So, because I'm not going to have evenings to record at all. Evenings after work when I get home are going to have to be take puppy off Mrs. Dish's hands, because she's going to need to go crash when I'm at home. So yeah. We'll see how things go. It's slightly frustrating because I'm trying to get back into running, and finding the time for that is going to be tricky. So we'll see how it goes. I'm supposed to be doing a race in 10 weeks. I might end up seeing if I can defer that so that the puppy's a bit older, so that life's a little bit less chaotic. Anywho, oh, that was a nice crash. Come on. Oh, have I really stacked it around the tree? Well, at this point, I don't have the time to faff, so... Console players must really hate that kind of thing where you get stuck like that. I remember when I started playing Farm Sim and I didn't know about super strength and getting stuck like that. And, you know, it taking you like 20 minutes to unstuck. and like not wanting to reset because you've got stuff in the trailer and you lose it and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, very annoying. Very annoying. So we're going to clear well over 500,000 litres off of that field, which is really nice. The other field is not huge, but I reckon we might hit 750. Anyway, I'm going to say thank you to the patrons and the YouTube channel members. I'm going to say thank you for watching, and I'm going to say I'll see you guys next time. Bye.